Hey, Dad, you got to stop. You got to call them up. You got to talk to them about this because this isn't what you want. And again, these are mistakes that are going to happen.
Yeah, it's construction.
Yeah, and it's construction. I think the most important part of this is the.
All right, Pack, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special guest, our client, Mr. Kirk. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us on your beautiful property. And then I'm speechless. What do we have here?
I'm speechless. Yeah, we have a 40 by 100 foot steel building. Red oxide weld up.
Yeah,
is the basics.
It's the basics, right?
Yeah.
But I was kidding with Kirk earlier. Is that I gave him a hat. And I told him, congrats for buying the hat, and then you got the building, right?
Absolutely.
So you bought the hat, but you got the building.
The building, yeah, that's the best. Yeah, the building.
But anyways, going back to the main focus of this video is we're going to share our client Kirk, his experience overall with us at WolfSteel Building. So let's start with the first question, Kirk. What made you choose a metal building? I know we were moving from out of state, from California to Texas. What was those first initial steps that you took to buy a metal building? What was your initial process of that?
Well, out in Texas here, it's a little bit different than a lot of other places. You're generally buying property and you're developing the property yourself. And it coming from a state like California where you're going to sell your home and you're going to move out to a property, as you're developing your home and your property, you kind of need a metal building, a storage type building to put all your belongings in while your house is being built.
Understandable, yeah.
And then once you've used it for that, now you have a place, in this case, where we're at, we have to store our RV in a middle building. It cannot be outside, stored outside. Any trailers have to be inside. And then, of course, someplace to put the work trucks, things like that.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to build an interior type building, or maybe entertainment, TV room, man cave, whatever you call it, that is everything that I plan to do in this particular building here.
So those were your needs, right? You needed a space for your RV, a space for your home while you're building your home, right, on that new property.
Yes, that's correct.
You need that space for all your belongings, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, correct.
So going back to the question, Kirk. So what did you use? Google? You went online? How was that first initial process?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what it is when you're out of state, it's very hard to meet each and individual builder or company and talk with them about what you might need, what I might need, because I don't know I know what I think I want, but I don't know what I need. And when I begin to do the research, of course, I use YouTube a lot for that. I think we all do.
Yes.
Depending on if you want to change the brakes on your truck or whatever it may be.
I learned how to smoke ribs on YouTube.
I did as well. I cook a pretty good rib. But when it comes to steel buildings, I ran into WolfSteel Buildings on YouTube. I ran into it, I believe, on one of the reels on Instagram to start with.
Oh, wow.
And then from then, I went right over to YouTube and began to watch the videos and begin to understand that this metal building had substantially more features and it was substantially more, there's a lot more to it than it being a steel building.
Yeah, okay.
It's just not a steel building.
It's like you were saying earlier, steel building A, okay, I know what they have, I know what they're doing, but I don't know the whole process of it, right?
Correct. I can call a steel building company and say, yeah, I'm looking for a 40 by 100 steel foot building. Can you give me a price with the concrete pad? Yeah, we'll shoot that price out to you. So you get your price and then you go, well, what is involved in this? In this case, we're watching all of the videos before I even made a phone call, and watching all the videos that WolfSteel had put out. I begin to understand the construction portion of it. What an approach was. I didn't know what an approach was. I didn't understand the term.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the approach is virtually your concrete, your driveway, as you might say, that approaches into the steel building.
Yeah.
And them being poured in a monolithic manner. Most people didn't know what that was for and why. I had to do the research. Another big standout for me was the notch system. And as you watch more Wolf videos, you will see that the notch is a very, very important part of the construction process.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it has to do with the garage doors. It has to, it's part of, if you're going to put a wainscot on the front, like this building is here, the building is actually going to have stone along the front. So it's set up for stone. We haven't even power washed the building yet. We still have a little bit more cleanup to do. And then, of course, our stonework. So understanding the notches and things like that are so important, and it gives you an idea of what you can now have an idea in your mind of what the building is going to look like, and you begin to build that process.
So as you're watching these videos, I'm guessing, Kirk, that a lot of your questions got answered as you're watching these videos, right?
It did, and I had a notepad, and every time I come across something like that, I would stop. I would write down, notched for the doors.
Okay.
And then I begin to, as I learned on each video, there would be something would come up, and I write that in. It's for this, it's for that, and then it built a better picture for me.
Awesome. That's very good to know. Hopefully everyone at home that's watching this, having the same doubts, the same questions. Well, there you have it. This is Kirk's experience on his initial process of obtaining a metal building. And something that I want to go back to those notch details. You said some very good stuff about it. But another thing is it prevents leaks, it prevents water from seeping in the building, because again, it's an 1.5 inch ledge. So the panels does overlap that notch, and it helps with critters and with some water seeping in. It prevents that.
Exactly, which you're using that same notch system to do your stonework, or in this case, your wainscot setup.
Yes.
And it keeps that water intrusion to a minimum or nothing at all, virtually. And so that's another good thing.
In all those videos, we talk about the notch system, we talk about the track system, following all that good stuff, right?
Right, exactly. There's other. As I was watching the videos, one of the things that I noticed the most is that you watch each video and they kind of build upon themselves, and I think it's how we consume the information. You learn about the notches, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, I know about the notches. Tell me about this.
Yes.
And then you begin to watch how, again, the garage doors. Am I getting an overhead door, or am I getting a roll-up door?
Yes.
And I don't know what I'm getting. Why do I want that door?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
And so then I had to understand that one was an insulated door, one was not. Am I going to insulate the building? And what type of insulation am I going to have? And how is that door going to relate to the insulation that I'm going to use? And so that was more research I did. So that was another rabbit hole I went down and made all my notes. And then from all these notes over time, 4 or 5 months, 6 months, never made a phone call to Wolf at all. Because all this information is information you're going to need to know when you start to make your first phone call.
Because you're making a big decision, right, Kirk? You're moving. First of all, you're in another state, California.
Yep.
You're moving to Texas. You have to make that decision on buying one of these, and this is not a cheap purchase.
It's not, and when you're younger, moving is easier because you're not as established there. When you get my age and you run a business there and you've lived there your whole life and you have a lot of background, regardless if where you're moving to and you want to, and where I'm at now, I've dreamt about having what I have now. It's a difficult move, and then you put all of that pressure on you, and then making the right decisions to build the right building. It's tough. It's really tough.
So going back, you're talking about 5 to 6 months of research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about that first phone call. With our salesman. Who was your salesman? Ernesto, right?
Yes, Ernesto was the first salesman and the only salesman that I had spoken to, and I believe the day I called and said I'm interested in a building, and they connected me with him, and then we began to talk about what I thought I wanted, and the more I talked about what I thought I wanted, I realized I didn't know what I wanted. Again, the questions begin to come back up, which is all normal. But as you're going through the process, you should be excited about that and wanting to learn more about it.
Yes.
And Ernesto helped me so much in understanding, like a roll-up door versus, an overhead door. I think I told him 2 or 3 times I want this door here, and he goes, no, we already talked about that. We're going to insulate your building. You need this. Oh, okay. I didn't even know the name of the door. It's
Yes.
kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. So he pointed you in the right direction, and it still met your needs, right?
Correct, because he would ask me, well, what are you trying to achieve? And I said, well, I want this. Oh, okay. Well, this is the application we should be using, and then he would explain to me why. And again, I made my notes, and I said, okay, let me call you back. I go back to my YouTube videos and begin to research what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So I made many calls back and forth to Ernesto. We had plans drawn. We had many things drawn before there was ever a commitment. And I never felt I was committed to something at ever.
And you know what, Kirk? I have not shown you this, but there's actually I've drawn I have the architectural renderings of the design.
Mm-hmm.
It looks exactly the same. So I'll send it to you later, and you're gonna be shocked how exactly it looks from the drawing board to reality. I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you that video later.
Yeah, because I actually
It
had
looks
it drawn out
scary
myself,
yeah.
you know, and kind of what I wanted, and so I kind of stuck with that. And there's other features that we'll talk about today, but like the eaves and things like that. And then of course you have surprises like the gutter. And they say, well, would you like gutters? Well, yes, I'd like gutters.
I like gutters.
I like gutters, and but coming from California, we don't have the volume of rain that we do here, and so a gutter, I'm thinking of a gutter that's 1.5 inches by 3 inches, a house gutter.
Yeah.
And I come here, and these gutters are so beefy, and they match the size of the building.
Yes.
When I pulled up and first seen them, just a big smile.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to Ernesto, your favorite salesman, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And they laugh about that because, well, that's a long story.
That's a long story.
We won't get into that.
I kind of want to, Kurt.
I know you do.
Okay.
I know you do. So it looks like we're going to have to.
We're gonna have to, yeah.
Okay.
So what happened between you and Ernesto and the design of the building?
So back to exactly what I was saying about when you're going through and you're looking at.
And this is good, right? This is good that it happens, and you know.
Oh, 100%. In fact, we
It's construction.
Ernesto and I just had a talk just a few minutes ago.
A talk, right?
Well, yes, kind of. We did that earlier, which I'm still embarrassed about. But anyway, we as we're going through, as a consumer, I'm trying to understand the process. And when it comes to the stone, we talked about the stone many times, and I have to put the stone on the building because of the POA, or what most people know as the HOA.
To give everybody an idea at home, we're talking about the brickwork, the wainscot, that's going to separate the top side of the panels to the bottom side. So he's going to have a brick all around the building, right, Kirk?
Correct. It's a must. And here where I'm at in this community, it's full size stone. So they come approximately 4.5 to 5.25 inches wide. So it's a pretty good size stone, full size stone block. So we talked about that, adding it. Well, you got it. You need to put that notch in that brick ledge, as they call it, around which part of the building. Well, and at the time, I didn't really know exactly what part of the buildings needed a brick ledge. So how do you like that? So I'm not given all the information that I need to give because I didn't know I needed to know it. But working slow through it, we came up with a design, and as we started building, we realized that we really needed to go back to the initial drawing that when you go onto the website, you can click on different features and you can build the building in 3D on your computer. And so since I didn't need wainscot, I wasn't doing a 2-color division.
Yes.
I eliminated wainscot out of my brain. I don't need that. I don't need to pay for it. It's extra. Why am I getting that? And that's the question is, why am I getting that? But I need stone on the front. And so as Ernesto and I worked through that was the one question that him and I didn't address. And we both got a little bit confused on that. And in my opinion, and Wolf could feel different than that. And of course, I want you to say it. But I think if you're going to put stone or brick around a building, you need to go with the wainscot application, because it gives you your flashing and it sends that water out and over the front of that stone and gets it away from the building. There was two other methods I think we talked about that you can do the stone with, without a flashing, without a wainscot, and you could save a little bit of money. But in my opinion, I don't think it's going to finish off the building as well. It might perform perfect. It might. But I think the finished look is going to be more massive with that big flashing. It's going to just put it over the top.
And going back to what you said earlier, Kirk, you wanna have a building with appeal, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of an introverted person that, I don't want to talk to you, but when you drive by, I want you to take a double take and go, who is that?
Okay,
hey.
Awesome. So that was your experience with Ernesto during the sales process, and then the concrete went extremely well.
Yeah, the concrete started out so fantastic. They come out for the initial stakeout, or Asmo was or is my concrete person, and he was actually the first person that I met in person from WolfSteel. And of course, he is an independent contractor out of San Antonio. And it was just minutes into our conversation that I realized that this is the guy that I want, for me. Because he began to show me and tell me and explain to me how this was going to be. We're going to cut in at the back, and we've got 41 inches higher in this front corner, and how we're going to deal with this. And I felt very confident from that. And then we talked more about the notches again for the building, because I had questions about that. And he explained it to me in real time, 3D, right on the ground. And I was here on the property as he was framing up the concrete, and he came to me and said, hey, are you going to have any electrical or sewer or any of that in here? And I said, well, yeah, I really want that. And again, not knowing, I knew I needed it, but not having a plan, right? He says, well, go get me the pipe that you want, and I will insert that in, because we're going to get ready to pour here in a couple days. I'll put that in for you. And I said, oh, okay, I guess we're going to go do that. So I went and got those parts, and we put them where we wanted. Yes. And he asked me what I was doing with it and why I was doing it.
Okay.
And that helped me along, and that saved me. Yeah. Because if not, I'd end up coming through the side of the building, or, I'd drilled a hole in the concrete. I mean, again, all these things that, you don't know, and you kind of go, well, I don't, at least for me, I don't want to deal with that right now. My plate's too full.
It's too full. Plus, because people, keep in mind, our client Kirk has two projects going on at the same time.
Yes.
His brand new home and this bad boy right behind us.
Well, and you have your home wherever you're coming from that you are.
Oh, you're still dealing with the real estate.
Yeah. You're prepping the home for sale. You're going to move, and how am I going to get everything moved, and when is it going to be moved? And I'm retired. I don't have a job. If I had my business and I'm working 10, 12 hours a day, this would be impossible. Yes. I couldn't do all of this myself.
Yeah. And not to toot my horn or anything, but WolfSteel Buildings did take one headache away from me.
They did. Yeah.
So that's the concrete process with that Osmo. And then let's move into Francisco and the erection crew. How was that?
So when Francisco come out, I kind of watched them, and they were bringing out equipment, and they had steel delivered, and I looked at the steel and thought, wow, that's going to be a steel building, huh? Okay. Again, no parts there were recognizable as a steel building.
Like Lego set.
Yeah. It just, I thought, I hope they know what they're doing, because I have no idea. Again, back to where, with all the research, still not really sure how this is going to happen. And there was, I believe, 4 or 5 people on the job that day, and they were setting everything up, and they grabbed one big column, and they placed it, the second column in from the end, which I'm not sure why they picked that spot. At the time, I wasn't sure. And they stood this column up and leveled it and tacked it in place and leveled it, talked about it, and everybody was looking around, and daylight ran out, and they went home. And I went out, and they left the level sticking on the side of it, And I look at this level, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
I take it off there, and I put it around the other side, and it's that thing is just dead plumb.
Yes.
And then it began to dawn on me what they were doing. That not all concrete is 100% perfectly level from corner to corner to corner. It's just impossible on something this large. So what they're going to do is take, I believe, I don't know, the high spot or the low, whichever it was, and set that beam first. When they came back in the next day, set up their tripod and started placing columns. and everything. They were cutting them to length,
Yes.
setting them, and that made everything on the top perfectly level.
Impact. This is a red iron weld up, so most of the fabrication is done on site. So it's a lot of craftsmanship that goes behind the scenes, just as Kirk is mentioning. It all boils down to craftsmanship here with our erection crew with Francisco.
100%, because this is raw material.
It's raw material.
Yeah, the material is just it's the link that comes from the manufacturer, and it's put on the job. The same with I believe they would call them what would they call the ridge portion, and there's probably a specific name for that. As they got those 4 columns in, there was one gentleman in the center of the slab, and he was cutting the angles and welding those up, stacking them on top of each other.
Rafters,
the rafters, and they were all identical. And when they had the 4 columns up, they grabbed one of those and boop, set it up on top. I mean, it was unbelievable how quickly the building went together at that point.
Yeah. So Francisco, amazing crew, by the way. Shout out Francisco if you're watching this.
Oh, absolutely.
We love you. I'll get you a 12-pack later on. Good guy.
Yeah, he is.
But going back to the building, Mr. Kirk, so they finished the framing. Luckily, the weather was fair to us, and then they started sheeting the building. Were you still in California when they were sheeting?
No, I happened to be here at the time.
Because you would come back and forth, right?
I was, but I was here at the time. I was here about 6 weeks straight. And then that's when they started the sheeting. I got to watch all the framing part, and when they just started sheeting the back of the building.
Okay. And that's when you noticed the issue, right?
I noticed the issues because as they come around on the back doesn't have any stone on it.
It's not.
And so that's just perfectly fine. And I knew that was fine. But when they came around my one side, I looked at it and I knew there was something wrong, and I just wanted it to go away. And I had sent a picture to my son. Now, send me some pictures. So I sent a picture of my son, and he caught it. He said, "Hey, what are you gonna do with your stone? Where's your stonework gonna be?" I said, "Well, we're gonna put it up against there." And so he did some real fast research and everything. And he called me back. He said, "Hey, Dad, you got to stop. You got to call them up. And you got to talk to them about this because this isn't what you want." And I said, "No, I'm kind of thinking that, and I just don't want to make the phone call yet. I don't want to do that." And so anyway, that day I did make the phone call.
And we're talking about maybe days away from final completion.
Yes, we are. We already had one wall that was up that had to be removed and taken down, and then when we're talking about siding at the time. It was all insulated and siding and screwed together. So I called and said, "Listen, this isn't going to work. I'm not seeing the vision."
You're not happy.
Yeah, and I think I picked the wrong direction about mortaring in the stone or doing some kind of a rubber sealant. I really think we need flashing, and with that we need what I would call a wainscot system. I think I made a big mistake, and it was probably maybe an hour at the most. And I get a phone call back, and he said, "Okay, no problem. We're going to do the wainscot part, and we've already ordered the steel. We've taken upon ourselves to order the steel. We know what needs to be done." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "It's not a problem." And I said, "Well, listen, it's not your guys' fault. Just tell me what it's going to cost me, and I'll pay for whatever parts that we need." And we come to a very good agreement. I paid what needed to be paid, which was the parts I needed anyway. And they began to put those parts together the very next morning. I mean, that stuff showed up, and then you could see the difference in how it had to be built and why it was built that way.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that.
And again, these are mistakes that are going to happen.
Yeah, it's construction.
Yeah, and it's construction. And it's going to happen between you and your salesperson. It's going to happen between you and the foreman on the job. You're going to see one thing, and you're going to bring it up to him. And
the most important outcome of this, Kirk, is, we found a solution. We kept the ball moving. That's what it's all about.
Sure. The solutions are always there. I think the most important part of this is the customer service. There's some businesses that they frown on changing something. Hey, you signed the contract. This is what we agreed to. We're going to march straight ahead. And that's not the attitude that WolfSteel has.
Yeah.
It's no problem. Let's figure out a solution. Let's save this. Let's keep going forward. Yeah. And we kept moving forward. We never missed a beat. And now we have how it should be, how the wainscot should be.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you're going to have stone, brick, I don't care what it is, even if it's artificial product, you need to do the wainscot. It's not that much money, but it will get that water away from the building, and it's so important.
Yeah. Just like your salesman Ernesto says, the biggest enemy is what, Ernesto? Water?
Any construction if you want.
It's an inside joke.
Yeah, of course.
But anyways,
That's Ernesto.
That's Ernesto.
That's Ernesto, the salesperson that we're talking about, and he's kind of in the background back there.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, let's end this with a cool note, Mr. Kirk. What's your favorite part of this whole building?
I think the favorite part really is the eaves of the building. And I'll tell you why. I mean, there's so many favorite parts. I mean, the downspouts was the big surprise. I really like the downspouts. I really like, the front lean-to. What they have it marked as lean-to on the, I call it a porch. But on
it's your building. You can call it whatever you want.
Yep, on the website right there, you click on lean-to, and then you build that lean-to at the width, the depth, the length. It's custom built. You're building it so you can build your whole building online, and then you can hand that off to your salesman, and he has a good idea of what you kind of want. In my case, he didn't understand what I wanted because I didn't communicate with him. So it's important for I to communicate with him. Would help his job a little bit better. But I didn't want to make it too easy on him. I mean, he needs to earn his money.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I withheld some information, and I'm going to do that in the future because he owes me. But anyway, back to what we talked about. I chose the eaves for this building. It's a 2-foot overhang. And the reason I did that is I wanted this building to have more of a residential or a homestead look. It matches the eaves on my home. In my opinion, again, I might be using the wrong words, but on a commercial building, you have no eaves. And it looks pretty commercial or more like an industrial style.
Yeah,
And I didn't want the industrial style. I wanted a home feel to it. So the eaves were something I wanted. I had a lot of wants. I wanted insulation. We have the fiberglass insulation. As you see from inside the building, all the white insulation. And again, it's a red iron weld up. Another thing that I kind of really wanted, but I had a lot of things that I wanted, and I was getting to the point where there was many things I probably could have done, but painting the inside with the black, black oxide paint was just, that set it over the top. Yeah, and you guys made that possible for me to be able to do that. And I was so happy with that phone call because that black iron sticks out on that white,
especially with that white
insulation. Yeah, and it's a game changer. Yeah. And so it's going to be a showstopper for without a doubt.
Yeah. Kirk, I'm jealous. I wish I had this.
Well, you don't have to be jealous. You guys built it. This is your building. I mean,
Okay, don't say that because I'll be popping in once in a while.
Yeah, I'm also building. I'm also building a gate on the front.
But let me share my favorite part of this building, and it's for me. If anyone wants to comment down below on what you like about this building, but for me, it has to be those beautiful overhead doors and the sizes. We got these are
10 by 10s.
10 by 10s, 12.
10 by 12, and then a 12 by 14.
And the 12 by 14, obviously, for the RV. For the RV. Perfect size.
Yep. And just staggered just to right. Again, I messed with these doors quite a bit, but the two 10 by 10s kind of have the right size compared to the 10 by 12, and then you jump up to that 12 by 14.
Awesome.
And it just kind of give it the right balance. Yeah. And then with the lean-to here on this side, we brought it out just far enough to where it would make a nice porch. But there's no sense in extending any farther now.
Thank you, Kirk.
So yeah, I'm real happy. I mean, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it was a learning curve. But I tell you what, if somebody takes their time and really watches the videos and studies the videos, you don't even need to make the phone call yet. Watch the videos. The answers are right there, but it can give you a feel for what you want. It answers the question. And there's a lot of things you don't know that you want and that you should have according to what kind of aesthetics you want it to come out to.
Awesome. Couldn't have said it better, Kirk.
Yep.
Thank you once again for
You're very welcome.
The opportunity to showcase your building. I wish you nothing but the best, Kirk, and I'll be looking forward to coming back and check out the brick wainscot.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to do that.
Will you have a fire grill by then?
Well, I might.
Okay, because
You never know.
you know.
You never know because we're gonna might have a.
But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I know it was a long video, but I honestly think it's very educational. Lots of information coming from a client's perspective on his whole process. We're talking about a whole year, almost a whole year
Sure.
of if you put your first 5 months of research.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, and,
100%. Take your time, do your research.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing you can do.
All right. So thanks for watching, Pack. We'll see you guys on the next one. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything WolfSteel Buildings. All right. We'll catch you guys on the next one.